DK Audio presents The Science Book by DK, read by Leighton, Pugh.
Introduction. All truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. The point is to discover them. Galileo Galilei. If you would be a real seeker after truth, it is necessary that at least once in your life you doubt, as far as possible, all things. René Descartes. I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, and diverting myself in now and then finding a smoother pebble, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. Isaac Newton. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. Albert Einstein. Science is an ongoing search for truth, a perpetual struggle to discover how the universe works that goes back to the earliest civilizations. Driven by human curiosity, it has relied on reasoning, observation, and experiment. The best known of the ancient Greek philosophers, Aristotle, wrote widely on scientific subjects and laid foundations for much of the work that has followed. He was a good observer of nature, but he relied entirely on thought and argument, and did no experiments. As a result, he got a number of things wrong. He asserted that big objects fall faster than little ones, for example, and that if one object had twice the weight of another, it would fall twice as fast. Although this is mistaken, no one doubted it until the Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei disproved the idea in 1590. While it may seem obvious today that a good scientist must rely on empirical evidence, this was not always apparent. The scientific method. A logical system for the scientific process was first put forward by the English philosopher Francis Bacon in the early 17th century. Building on the work of the Arab scientist Alhazen 600 years earlier, and soon to be reinforced by the French philosopher René Descartes, Bacon's scientific method requires scientists to make observations, form a theory to explain what is going on, and then carry out an experiment to see whether the theory works. If it seems to be true, then the results may be sent out for peer review, in which people working in the same or a similar field are invited to pick holes in the argument, and so falsify the theory or to repeat the experiment to make sure that the results are correct. Making a testable hypothesis or a prediction is always useful. English astronomer Edmund Halley, observing the comet of 1682, realized that it was similar to comets reported in 1531 and 1607, and suggested that all three were the same object in orbit round the Sun. He predicted that it would return in 1758, and he was right, though only just. It was spotted on the 25th of December. Today, the comet is known as Halley's Comet. Since astronomers are rarely able to perform experiments, evidence can come only from observation. Experiments may test a theory or be purely speculative. When the New Zealand-born physicist Ernest Rutherford watched his students fire alpha particles at gold leaf in a search for small deflections, he suggested putting the detector beside the source, and, to their astonishment, some of the alpha particles bounced back off the paper-thin foil. Rutherford said it was as though an artillery shell had bounced back off tissue paper, and this led him to a new idea about the structure of the atom. An experiment is all the more compelling if the scientist, while proposing a new mechanism or theory, can make a prediction about the outcome. If the experiment produces the predicted result, the scientist then has supporting evidence for the theory. Even so, science can never prove that a theory is correct. As the 20th century philosopher of science Karl Popper pointed out, it can only disprove things. Every experiment that gives predicted answers is supporting evidence, but one experiment that fails may bring an entire theory crashing down. Over the centuries, long-held concepts such as a geocentric universe, the four bodily humours, the fire element phlogiston, and a mysterious medium called ether have all been disproved and replaced with new theories. These in turn are only theories and may yet be disproved, although in many cases
Sample complete. Ready to continue?